Hello and welcome to today's discussion on blissful awareness. Here we talk about spiritual matters, especially what we are doing in our life, some situations which may impact us or our practices, spiritual related practices, or otherwise anything related to life. So it is a good opportunity wherein we meet with each other, connect with each other, and share a common space of common thread of knowledge, which is we all are connected to. So there are not many questions except one which has come. So let us start from here. That one person who has messaged me that I have suffered a lot for several years and I think there was some problem with the connection. So I will read the comments given by the fellow seekers, and from there on, okay, not Meera, Rajiv has written. So Rajiv has sent one reply and a good one that for sure after death you will get 100% relief from all these sufferings which you have had while living. But if you want relief now, right here, then that is also possible. Know yourself that you will know you as a being, as a person never existed, never lived. So, how can you die? This physical body never existed, this mental being never existed. But you alone, as pure, eternal, absolute bliss, ever prevailed. But if you die without knowing yourself, then you will be back again and again and again until you get to know yourself. This knowing is also guaranteed, but it, it depends on your choice when you want it. Rajiv has further mentioned that all the suffering is due to ignorance of identifications, concepts, and beingness. Once these are dropped, suffering too will disappear as it is not there in the first place itself. Your answers are very good, but let me see if somebody else wants to add their bit into it. And especially considering that the person who is asking, although he has knowledge, he has been exposed to maybe non duality and spiritual knowledge, but he is also suffering from some lot of sufferings are there in his life, and maybe some mental sort of issues are there. So, how do we handle it? Satya is writing from the point of view of survival. As long as one identifies with the physical body and pain and mind, there will be pain. Mental pain is caused by ego. If the ego is dropped, there will be peace of mind. Body reflects the mental state. Mental peace naturally heals the body. If if the software is right, the hardware also works properly. Am I audible? Hello. Can somebody confirm? Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think I don't know where I went offline. And anyway, let me let me rephrase some of the things which I just said. I said that Rajiv and Satya have given excellent answers, but this is the authentic answer also which you have given. Rajiv has again added one more comment that be compassionate to this being, accept the suffering as your own doing, ask for forgiveness, and try to abide in the knowledge. Very good. See, let me first give the right answer, and then maybe I don't know what is happening. There is some connectivity issues today. goes offline automatically. I don't know when you lost my track, but anyway, if there is suffering, let me rephrase. I think there was some problem with the connection last few seconds maybe. So there is no one who is suffering first. Second, there is no suffering, but that is not the end. The issue is that there are no pleasures, and there is no one who is enjoying those pleasures. Now, this is an answer which may be acceptable to the one who is already there on the spiritual path, who can appreciate these things. And this one sentence, that there is no doer, there is no ego, there is no I, there is no sufferer, and there is no suffering, is cannot be accepted unless it is given with a more broader perspective. So the more fundamental question will be: is spirituality, or the is if you enter into the spirituality to get rid of the suffering, is that the right cause? Or you want to get more pleasures in life, your desires maybe you are having a lot of unfulfilled desires, so they will be getting fulfilled. That is the right purpose to enter into spirituality. So those are more fundamental questions, but we'll come to them later on. Andy has given one comment: there is a difference between pain and suffering. Body or mind will experience pain when it is in discomfort. Pain cannot be avoided, but suffering is a choice which we can all make. Very true, Andy. I agree with both all of you, Rajiv, Andy, and Satya. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and views. But let us see it from two perspectives. One, which is the right answer, which you people have already given, that the one who is suffering is not you. The one who is getting the pleasures is not you. Second is, there is no suffering and there is no pleasure. So if this answer is not satisfactory, then what do we do? Because the person who is asking this question is deeply into pain, some sort of mental affliction also. And he is so desperate that he or she is so desperate that he is asking whether will it end with the end of life. Now you can imagine the state of mind that that person is going through, maybe few years or few decades, that there have been constant struggles in life in terms of pain and some sort of mental afflictions come with the if the pain exceeds in life, then there is the intellect may not be that sharp to grasp the answer which we just gave. Then what is the solution? So still the answer will be that I don't know there is if there is any answer to this in path of knowledge, but there can be answers in other paths like occult or path of yoga or path of devotion. Because path of knowledge will straight away throw the bomb sort of a thing that you are not there. You as an entity is not a separate existence. Whatever is the purity, is the perfection, is the ultimate, is the experiencer, and that experiencer does not have any attributes, so it cannot be touched by suffering or pleasures. But that answer will not be accepted by a person who is going through such trauma. So the correct my take on this will be that first get solve your problems in the physical world through the physical means, using illusions and whatever is available, support system is available in the illusion, in form of say medication, in form of say consulting a doctor, in form of I don't know what is the issue today. It automatically goes offline after a while, and it seems there is I don't know where I This is causing some issue. Anyway, I believe I am audible now. So please let me know in case the audio goes off. So I was saying that the pain is inevitable and suffering is optional, as Andy rightly mentioned in his uh, comment. And what is pain? It comes through the physical senses. So more answer which is applicable to the person is that don't come to the path of knowledge straight away, because it is not a solution to the physical pain. Path of knowledge is not for getting rid of pain or getting more pleasures as such. It is to understand your own self. That is the meaning of spirituality, and that is the meaning of that is the purpose, if we say a sub purpose or a sub goal of path of knowledge, to see that who you are is the right purpose. Who you are, to know that is the right purpose for path of knowledge, because it is once the right knowledge is there, the awareness will rise, and once the awareness is there, everything else will be clear. Like the side effects will be that intellect will start more sharpening, the struggles in life will come down. Why it will happen? Because you will stop doing which is unnecessary, which is not required, which is the root cause for these problems in your life. Those actions will start disappearing and start vanishing, because there will be some more time available with you. The situations, they will emerge time and again depending on so many factors, but how you react to that situation will be more in your control. I mean, again, I'm talking all this in more relative manner, not in the absolute terms, because there is no controller, there is no doer, then who will control? So for the time being, let us focus more on this human body and mind body instrument. And if there are issues with the mind body instruments, then how to handle them. We are talking more in science now, more in practical issues which are faced in life. And let us be very honest, almost most of us or all of us come to spirituality only when there is sorrow in the life, when there is some or other issues which we can't understand. So we think that going to spiritual masters or doing spiritual practices will end my sufferings or will give me that which I want. Very few, very few will try to come into the spirituality for the purpose of understanding their own self. Although once the suffering starts coming down, or when you are not running after the pleasures, the mind will start settling down. And with that settling of the mind will come the realization of the self. Although you may know it in few minutes, what is self or who are you, but that will be easily forgotten also, because your focus is on what? Your focus is on removing the suffering. Your focus is on getting something from spirituality. So let us be very clear that that is not the right purpose of for spirituality. That is a side effect. The fulfillment of desires or reduction of suffering is a side effect of spirituality, especially the path of knowledge. Now, coming to this human body and human mind entity, and if there are certain mental afflictions with someone, so the answer will be that first get rid of them. First get rid of all the mental affliction using illusion, using the means which are available in the illusion. Because if you are deep into suffering, how can you even think about who you are? How can you even have compassion? In compassion is love, basically. If the body is suffering, if the stomach is hungry, if there are so many strong unsatisfied desires, I don't think spirituality will be of any use, especially the knowledge of yourself will be of any use. But if you are seeing or trying to be honest with yourself, if you can see that suffering is a creation of mind, as Andy mentioned, pain is physical, but suffering is not physical, it is mental. So if it is a mental creation, then who can get rid of it? Who is who is better positioned to get rid of it? You can take help of psychologists and doctors also, but those things are maybe not very useful in long run. They may give you some relief. I don't know what medicines are given for depression, let us say, but those will not be of very. See, if the trauma is there, if a person is going through a deep physical pain, the first thing is to go to doctor and get relief from that pain. Otherwise, if my tooth is aching, can I think about what is God, what is word, what is me, what is you? And that is a severe toothache. So first take some medicine to get rid of that toothache and then think about other things. See, most of the afflictions are created by you yourself. So we have to take that responsibility. I think Satya mentioned that, or somebody mentioned, Rajiv mentioned it, that all sufferings are your own. Now, the person is so desperate here that he says that I have suffering since decade, and will this today there is a big issue with the connectivity. I think it is getting lost again and again. Am I audible now? I think so because here it is showing that everything is fine. Yes. Yes. So I was talking that if a person is so desperate that he or she thinks that he's asking a question in desperation whether this sufferings which I am having will they end with the life. Now the answer is very clear, at least to me, that life or death is not a guarantee that the sufferings will end. See, like everybody's life is different, so everybody's post death experiences will also be different. See, here are maybe 700, 800, 700 crores people, population of the world. But each individual has his own experiences of life, of his own understanding of life, of his own thinking what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is suffering. Each has his own personal pain and afflictions. Each has his own desires. How magnanimous, how uh, see the great magnitude of it. That what the variety is there. Still there is oneness. Now coming to the problem again, that if a person thinks that the death is the solution, so that may not be the right answer. Why I say so? Because when once you are suffering in this life and there is not much of knowledge in this life, not much of exposure to yourself, then a lot of bad karma is being taken away. That is true. But we don't know what is the accumulation back, how much more is accumulated. But it doesn't mean that there is no good karmas are not accumulated. So it may so happen that during this lifetime, from the perspective of path of knowledge, none of the allocation is yours. You are ever free. But from the more practical perspective, you have to make this life more comfortable, at least the lower three planes or lower three layers. The low layer of getting at least a comfortable life, the layer of satisfaction of at least some primary desires, and the layer of having some comfortable enjoyments in life. So once these necessities are met, then you can talk about love. then you can talk about intellect, then you can talk about awareness. Although the reverse is also true, if the awareness comes, these sufferings will start having less and less impact. And at the same time, pleasures will also be having less and less grip on you. So both will happen simultaneously. Don't think that only sufferings will vanish and I will have my pleasures of my life, of whatever I want will you will lose interest in it actually. Even if you get it, there won't be any interest to indulge in those pleasures. In fact, the pleasures will become, yeah, yeah, please.
Sorry, I was going to say something, but if you're okay, if I can talk.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead. I think it will give my throat some relief.
I think one thing with pain though is that as I think you already pointed out that if it is there is pain in the body, and the first thing a person needs to do is to not ignore it and go and see a physician or go and consult a doctor and make sure that that you get the appropriate treatment for it. Um, but the second part of this is that once you've got yourself treated, or once you've gone and attended to it, because pain is nothing but a defense mechanism that the body has to ensure that your survival activities are continuing in a safe manner. And so if we ignore pain, then there's a very high likelihood at some point it might cause an irreversible damage to yourself and to your body. So it's body's way of just, you know, alarming or alerting you that there is something wrong. But the other thing also is that a lot of pain is actually mind created, or which, and this is where we get into this terminology between pain, difference between pain and suffering. So someone maybe said something to you, or someone abused you, and then you just keep on replaying that over and over again in your mind, and that that is actually the suffering that you're creating as a result of something someone did. Now that is not pain, and that's why the distinction is very important, that when someone says something to you and you get hurt, then that which is getting hurt is that egoic identity that you've got. And so replaying that message over and over again is that suffering that you're creating. So when a person says that, okay, if I want to end all suffering, all pain, if I die, all that pain should disappear. But that pain is the pain of the body might disappear, but that mental suffering that you have created or a person has created, that's never going to disappear. That's going to be there as samskaras. That's going to be there until you learn how to deal with it. And so um, for a lot of people, though, dealing with it is sometimes burying it or ignoring it, but that just makes it even worse. So when, just coming back to when someone says that they are in pain, sometimes they're not able to differentiate between um, what has caused that pain. And pain is like, it's like when you have a river that is flowing, you put a rock in the river and all the garbage starts collecting against the rock, all debris starts collecting around it. And it's the same thing. If you got a certain pain in your body, then someone criticizes you, someone says something, your pain starts collecting. And so normally it is your reaction to pain. You're not really aware at all. And so when on a path of knowledge, we actually say to people that you need to be more aware. But in most cases, that even the intellect is not exercised when someone feels pain. When someone criticizes, the intellect doesn't even come into the picture. It's usually a spontaneous reaction because that's been built out of that whole conditioning. So somewhere initially that gap needs to be created between action and that intellect needs to be exercised so that that awareness is developed. And only when that awareness is developed, that at that point the person is able to then get rid of that suffering, because then they have the choice of whether I should act on this pain, whether I should whether it is actually a pain, whether it is just someone critiquing me and I'm just going to ignore that because it doesn't make sense. And so that awareness is obviously where you want to be. And so when you're when you are really in that state, you are truly free from suffering. And not only are you free from suffering because you've mastered awareness, that you are going to be free from suffering going forward, because that is a skill, that is a practice that you have developed to be in awareness. So I think it is most people who are suicidal, they actually think that if I end my life, then all the pain will disappear. And that is absolutely not the case. So it is, my recommendation would be that people need to kind of go up the food chain, create a gap between the pain and suffering and the thinking, through the thinking initially and then through awareness, so that eventually you can get rid of that suffering that you feel, and then that travels with you, cleanses you even when you die.
Amazing, Andy. I think you have comprehensively answered all the aspects of it and given so many new perspectives. So much. I mean, thankful to you for bringing clarity on the subject, because this question is coming not from a intellectual understanding. It is coming from a person who thinks the pain is real, who thinks that the suffering is real. So, as you rightly mentioned, first and foremost, we have to differentiate between what is pain and what is suffering. And pain obviously has solutions. If you take a painkiller, if you take a anesthesia, there is no pain. I mean, local anesthesia, so to say. So that means the pain. And when you sleep, there is no pain. When you are in dream, there is no pain as such, not the pain which you were suffering when you were awake. Or when in deep sleep, there is no pain. So that proves for sure that pain is not real. Now come to suffering, as you absolutely right in mentioning that if there is a gap which is created between the promptness or the desire which comes and the situation which is in front of you and the action you take, if there is a gap there, then you will see that there is only freedom. The one who thinks I am taking those actions is also an illusion. The one who thinks that I'm making a choice is also an illusion. So that refinedness in understanding will come, will grow with the gap. And then you will find that unnecessary actions are not happening through you, which is the root cause of all or almost everything in which we found ourselves. So I think we have extended this question quite a lot. And after ND, there's nothing more to add as far as I'm concerned. So let's go to Vipan. Vipan is asking, one thing I have learned from POK is that if we abide in realization that there is no doer, all questions of suffering, desire, everything falls. Any comments on this? I think you are bang on target, Vipan, because this is the most crucial, most important aspects which I also found. And what is doer? A doer is nothing but a false identification with the action. And what is the false identification with the action? How it is possible? if there is a false identification with a object or a body or a mind. So anyway, if you go further, let us go more deep into what is doer. See, if it was proven scientifically, some scientific experiments were also done that this thought that I have done it comes subsequently after the action is over. That is logically also very clearly understood that I have done this can come only after the action is over, right? You can't say that I have done it before the action is even happened. So it is very clear that this thought that I have done it or I am doing it is a after effect, is a creation of imagination, is a thread from nowhere that I have done it. I am the doer. And once you become the doer, you also become the enjoyer. When I say enjoyer, it means enjoyer of both pleasure and pain. The suffering and pleasures both are included there. Now, when you see deep into it, ego, let us say not ego, the false identification is the doership. Because with false identification comes the doership. So if you hit on doership, you have to go why there is doership. So I was talking about the scientific experiment that also proves they were measuring some signals from the brain through some wires connected, and they found that this thought, I have done it, comes subsequently after the action is over. So that also has proven that there is no doer. Now let us understand what is doership. Who is the doer then? If I am not the doer, then who is the doer? And who thinks that I am the doer? The due to false identification with something. See, other than you, whatever else can be experienced is an object, right? It can be a gross object or it can be a subtle object. The gross objects are what we see in the world. The gross object is this physical body. The subtle objects are the senses. The more subtler objects are mind. Even subtler object is intellect. And further subtler object is awareness. So all these objects, right from a gross object to the subtler to the subtlest, and finally to the causal perhaps. So all these objects, if I identify with any one of these objects, then the doership will come. Then I will think that I am doing it. Then I will sorry, I think again it got disconnected. I don't know what has happened today. Some very bad signal. Anyway, I don't know where I lost, but hello. Yeah, sorry. 1 second. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah, doership. I think I lost the track. So the doer is a total illusion. It comes with false identification, and that false identification will be a gross object or a subtle object. And so once that is known, then that is the end of suffering, and that is available at this moment. It is not that it will come in future or it was available somewhere in the past, because neither the past exists nor the future exists. The past exists in this moment and future exists in this moment. So there is no doer as such. So once that is known, there cannot be any question of any suffering. There cannot be any question of any desire being mine. There will be desires, obviously. There will be suffering, not suffering actually, there will be pain. But that pain will not cause that amount of suffering that you are trying to run away from pain by hook and crook. You can't tolerate any pain. Tell me anyone who is connected that who did not have pain in their life, who did not have. I think Buddha Buddha gave this experiment, no, to someone. Very famous story that somebody came and was crying in front of Buddha that I have lost my dear relative. Then he said, okay, no problem. Just do one thing. Give me some food from a house where no death has happened. then I will give you a solution. So that person went to several houses and found that everybody has their pie of sufferings, their pie of pain, their pie of problems in the life. So there's no doer, absolutely right, Vipin. The- Exactly, I cannot agree more with you, because that is the root cause for all the issues. If that is disappearing, the enjoyer will go. If the doer is not there, enjoyer is not there. And if the doer and enjoyer is not there, then you are ever established in what you are. Then you can see that state of desirelessness. I don't say that having desires is bad, but having coming into that state of desirelessness is even more beautiful. I don't say that you desire that there should not be any desires. But even if you desire, what is wrong with that desire? But there should not be any stickiness that desire should not come. This should not happen. The pain should not come. The I should get more and more pleasures. What is this? This is the whole source of the problem. This is the whole source of the error from which the suffering originate. I think Rajiv has given one more comment. Both future and past are said to exist in so-called present moment. Does the present moment exist? I think very good question. So let me ask from the fellow seekers who are connected on the call about what could be a correct answer. Okay, we say there is no past, and we say that there is no future. But what about the present moment? Does the present moment exist? If anybody likes to answer this complicated question, no, no. Satya says that only the present exists, but he is questioning the presence of the present moment. Does the present moment exist? So Satya's view is that only the present moment is existing, and past and future is there in the present moment, which I was just talking. But let us go more deep into the present moment. Anyone else who has similar or dissimilar views with Satya that only the present moment exists? So this is very interesting question, very good question, I would say. And let us not again there was some problem with the connection. Anyway, Ashu is saying, what is the difference between time and movement? Very good. We will come to that. Uh, but let us first answer the question which has been asked by Rajiv. I think it's very tough to define the concept of time or movement. So, Ashu's view is that what is the relation between time and the movement? Okay, I think there's few more people answering about the present moment. Then we will come to the difference between time and movement. Because if we know what is present moment, then we will come to know what is the difference between time and moment. Vipan has said all possibilities are here and now. Time is the illusion caused by I don't understand this word, rasterize, uh, of possibilities in memory. Organization of possibilities in memory. No mind, no memory, no time. Very good, Vipan. And he's saying all the present, past, and future moments are an illusion. Good. Rajiv, I am neither past or future and not present. I am not the moment either. For me, this helps, though I fluctuate. So this is good. Very good. I think there is some difference of opinion now. One is that only the present exists, but let us try to understand what is the present moment. There is no one, there is no entity, there is no organism, there is no being who has ever understood what is present moment, because it is unknowable. So, does the present moment exist? Because let us keep it step by step. There is no past because it exists in the present moment. There is no future because it exists in the present moment. So, what is present moment? So, I said that there is no one who can ever or will ever or has ever understood what is present moment. That is from the perspective of understanding. But what is it? If it is beyond intellect, if it is beyond understanding, how can it be put in words? So, therefore, it is simply said, just see what is there in front of you. That is the moment. That is the life. I mean, you can't define life also for that matter. You can't define love also for that matter. You can't define non duality for that matter. You can't define illusion for that matter. And you can't define what is knowledge for that matter. So it is all unknowable in the end. So it is all relative when we say there is no past, there is no future. Okay, there is present moment. What is it? You will never be able to grasp what is it. That is the beauty of it. It is there, but what it is will never be known. So you can't say it exists and you can't even say it is not existing. Because if it is existing, you have to define it. And if it is non existing, you have to prove it. Both are impossible in case of present moment. So that is my take on it, but it may be right or wrong. Maybe somebody else can have. So all beauty is undefinable. All all which is important in the life is indescribable. All that exists can never be known what it is there. Because whatever you know will be very limited through the senses, through the intellect, and through the mind. And all three are their limitations. They all three are useless, I will say, when it comes to the existence, when it comes to the movement, when it comes to the infinity, when it comes to the your being what you are. When the I-ness, when the identification I-ness dissolves in isness, that is the origin of love. That is the origin of bliss. Now, that I-ness dissolving into isness is not an activity actually. There is no effort by which you can dissolve the I-ness into isness. Is there any effort? Is there any effort to know that you exist? Do you need the help of the senses? Do you need the help of the body? When you were in the deep sleep, you were still existing and you knew that you were existing after the deep sleep is over. So, therefore, deep sleep is not actually the realization because their isness is also lost in the sense that there is no awareness that there is isness. So, when I-ness dissolves into isness, that is the present moment. And it doesn't mean that when I-ness is not dissolved into isness, then the present moment will disappear. No, no, no. What I'm saying is, then I don't know what's happening today. When this isness is seen in its true existence, not existence, there is no word actually. So, in that moment, the loveness, the identification that gets dropped away, and the second identification of the self with the self will originate. Now, this is very poetic, the identification of self with the self. The short answer is present moment is indefinable. It is cannot be put in words. It cannot be described by intellect. It is beyond intellect. It is beyond comprehension. It is beyond words, but it is ever present. Ever present. The word present means that it is existing right now, right here at this moment. And that is what all it is. So, in my another form way of answering it would be that you know that non duality is, but you cannot explain it. I don't know. Today's connection has been very, very poor. Sorry for that because I see myself getting muted automatically. I think the existence doesn't want these words to be spoken. Whatever. I mean, in lighter vein. So what I'm saying is that,
Hello.
yeah,
Hello. Yeah,
yeah. Please
Ashwin
go
ji,
ahead.
good morning.
Morning, morning.
I wanted to share some. I wanted to share some analysis on this that all the experience coexist, all the possibilities coexist. Uh, Now, see if we are saying this movement, like the experience we are having right now, I think we our mind still goes to our memory. Uh, the dependence of our present is in memory is based on our memory. Suppose if we are looking on an object right now, suppose we are looking on this mobile, the color of the mobile, the texture, and uh, everything, the form which we are experiencing right now, it the basis, its basis can be found in the memory only, because there are pre-stored patterns like the texture, the hardness, and all that form stuff. Whatever things that are needed to define this object, it already exists in our mind. So what we are experiencing right now is already stored somehow in the memory, and our mind just goes to that point and brings all those things, put up and forms an image that we are experiencing right now. So we can also thought it like that: if we raise our memory, past memory, and the same object we are seeing, then what will the experience of the observer? I think that will be totally blank, that unknown thing. It will be completely unknown, because the texture we are feeling for the first time, and it again goes to memory for storage. Like the new thing, what we are experiencing, it completely new thing. So it will be very much unknown, and the mind will start recording the data, and it's very difficult to grasp in words, but what I think that whatever we are experiencing right now, it is already stored some in the memory. Our mind is only assessing that the word I use, na, rasterization, it is only assessing that picture, and somehow assembling it and then present it to us as observer.
Thank you, Vipin. I think you have given a different dimension to it about the memory being there, and whatever is being experienced is only the memory. Actually, there is nothing as new or old, which you also mentioned that whatever is being experienced is only the memory. So if we say memory, then it is already happened. So it
Right.
is very subtle, as such as because memory is a model, right? It is
Mm,
not there to be found. What is
right.
illusion? I mean, memory is said to be an illusion. Can you eat something which was there, which is there right now in your memory? You can't do that, right? And so
Mm,
many memories have been lost, and so many memories will be. But it is not that memory will be ever extinguished. It will be always there, right? So the memory is existing and it is non-existing. So what is this memory? It is called non-physical, non-mental. If it is non-physical and non-mental, then what is it? Then your intellect will fail here, because if something is non-physical and non-mental, how can you define that? So
Ashwini, one thing more,
yeah, yeah.
that whatever we are experiencing, it is experienced as a different object from us. Uh, so our mind works. I think mind works like through comparisons. Whatever there is pre-stored things that we assess in our mind just compare with those pre-stored data, and then comes up with the idea of different. What is different from us? So if somehow that memory is increased, like the till the last moment, I think the present will be completely blank or empty. It is the result of the pre-stored data, or the possibilities that already exist in NPNM, that the mind rasterizes into the present moment.
This is all very beautiful. I think you should not take, or I should not, or anybody here should not take answers from anybody else. Let us go delve deep into it and try to find out that what is meaning of NPMP, what is memory, what is illusion. And you rightly said that present will be blank, but actually present is already blank, right? That is called emptiness. So if there is NPMP, there is emptiness. NPMP means non-physical, non-mental. And if there is emptiness, and if whatever can be experienced is an illusion, so all theories, all whatever you verbalize, whatever you will put into words, will never give you any satisfaction, will never satisfy the intellect. But still, we create these models. Why? Because these models are there to answer at least 99% of your questions. But that 1% will be still lost, whether the
Mm.
memory comes first or the experience comes first. Can somebody answer this? This is a very difficult question to answer. Does the experiences create memory, or is that memory is being experienced? Now, somehow it's very difficult. Nobody will be able to answer perhaps very satisfactorily. So we take and we assume that experiences are more fundamental. But experiences are of what? They are of memory. So we have to say that the memory is a model. It is not real. Here comes the catch. The memory model is there to answer or to satisfy your intellect. It is not existing at all. It is purely an illusion. It is purely a theory which is generated to satisfy your intellect. So, if anyway, I think today we are close to the time and the connection was very bad. I'm sorry for that. But let me answer briefly to your question that I don't know what to do with today. Uh, Time is said to be double or triple illusion because there are two ways to define time. As I think Vipan mentioned, one is that comparison between the memories. That will be the time. Suppose your memory of the past is erased. Can you ever say what is time? So there will always be a comparison with the past memory and the current thing which is happening as an experience. And that comparison is said as time. That is one way of understanding what is time. And second way is to understand the change. One situation changes, one event happened, then another event happened. The difference in the two events is called time. Time is not what you see in the clock. 1 second has passed. What does 1 second mean? It is absolutely irrelevant. You say that Earth revolves around the sun and we take it as 365 days and we divide it into so many hours and minutes and seconds. But that is all very practically useful. But what is it? It is just a movement of, in a very organized manner, of Earth around the sun. Is this the time? Is this the present moment? So present moment is more fundamental, and time is an illusion, and double, triple illusion. Because first you have to agree that memory exists. Second, you have to know what it is. Third, you have to recall from the memory of past memory. Fourth, you have to compare it with the existing current, whatever is happening, and that comparison will give you an illusion of time. So it is double, triple illusion. Now, another very beautiful thing is that time and mind are synonymous. Means you can't speak. The mind will not grasp anything if the concept of time is not there. If the concept of space is not there. Can anybody even think if there is no space or time? Without time and space, can you even convey anything to each other. So therefore it is illusion. The whole thing is an illusion. Therefore I said some time back that it is impossible to know what is the present moment. It is impossible to know what is love. It is impossible to know what is deep sleep. It is impossible to know what is experience. It is impossible to know what is experience. So everything is unknowable in the end. But if you say this to a person who is starting entering into path of knowledge or spirituality, he will not appreciate that. He will run away or he will think you are crazy. So this is given in I am sorry today this connection has. So what I was saying that if somebody asks you, that is why Guru is said to be saying a lot of lies, because if somebody comes with a problem in in their life, you will the Guru may say that you do this purification, you do that. If somebody comes with an intellectual problem, then the Guru says there is no doer. If somebody comes with what is illusion, then there will be different answer. And if somebody comes and asks what is present moment, then he will become speechless. He will become silent. He won't speak anything. Because whatever reply he gives will be wrong, will be a false, it will be a lie. So as soon as you open your mouth, it becomes a lie. It becomes illusion. It becomes and something which is ceasing, which never not existed cannot be found by something which is existing, and which is sometimes existing and sometimes non-existing. So whatever is existing is actually never existing, because that existence can never be known in the way it is. It can only be known as an illusion, as a concept, as a theory, as a what do you call mentation, as a mental identification, and as a with the use of the word. But where is the word when we talk about love? Can you talk about love? You may talk about it, but can you know what is love without being in love? Can you know what is sweetness without tasting what is sweetness? So all these are words which are helping you to indicate, to point towards something which is undefinable, unknowable, which is. I wish you all the best. I think today's connection has been very poor, but apologies for that. Let us reconnect again, maybe next Friday. And all the best to you for having that connection with the Guru. Please, please go to a Guru, whomsoever you love. Just go to him and ask, what is it? And he will make you silent. If he is not making you silent, then there is something problem. Some problems are there. So Guru will definitely make you silent. He will make you speechless, because he himself is that essence which is that essence which cannot be expressed in word. And he sees that essence in you. And he makes you identify that essence which he himself is. So go to a Guru, ask him, just surrender in his presence